take us through the detail of what's going on with this hotel in the southwest of Sydney.
Yeah, and we should talk about the Victorian situation and the problems it's now throwing up. But when you look at New South Wales curve, which is this one here, it doesn't look like a whole lot at the moment. Of course, that's where Victoria started. The difference we're seeing at the moment is while cases, yes, they're getting into the double digits, most are still hotel quarantine cases. But these Crossroads Hotel linked cases, that's now 9 of them that are locally acquired. And before that, we have been seeing in New South Wales sort of 1 or 2 of these sorts of cases a week for a really long time now. So that's why this is such a concern. This Casula outbreak, 9 cases now and growing, we understand.
Yeah, we actually understand that's up to 10 now this morning. And yeah, the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Michael Kidd, suggested it was going to grow further today. I don't know if that means just the one that's been talked about this morning or there'll be further when we get those figures through today.
Yeah, unclear exactly. Yeah. But the point is that it is growing and, you know, this is in many ways a test for New South Wales. If this particular outbreak can't be brought under control, well, that doesn't bode well for future outbreaks across the entire country. What makes this one a little bit harder? Well, it's a big venue, this hotel. Hundreds and hundreds of people there on just the one night that's of most concern, but we're now talking about a week period where authorities are worried that people have picked up this virus. It is a busy spot that lots of people travelling north-south, even bypassing Sydney, visit, and so there is potential there that this virus could spread. If people have picked it up at this venue, could spread it well beyond Sydney. We know there are some Queenslanders who were at that pub on that day, so you know there's potential there for this to be a spreading event that sort of spreads across the entire state or even broader, which could be a big problem. And so it's why we're seeing what, you know, maybe to some feels like quite a ridiculous response. You know, hundreds, thousands of people told to self-isolate for 2 weeks, immediate testing for what is a very small number, but we've seen just how bad this can get. One cluster turns into several clusters, turns into a tsunami of cases. Yeah,
and Casey, yeah, so take us through the Victoria figures as well.
Yeah, I want to show you, I mean, the Victorian curve is still looking nasty. We're not seeing the gigantic sort of surge that we saw the other day, but we're still seeing cases in the high 300s. What that is, of course, causing is problems with, while we sort of wait for the lockdown orders, the stay-at-home orders to be reflected in here. Hopefully in the next few days we'll start to see the impact of that. But more and more cases are cropping up in really difficult areas. I'll just show you this. I won't run you through the whole list, but these are all the clusters that Victorian authorities are dealing with. We've got public housing, 237 plus 28 in Carlton. We've got this massive college outbreak, 113. We've got a series of aged care homes, 11, 12 cases in these 2 aged care homes. A series where there's only 1, but these 2 were only 1 a week ago. We've got a series of them all the way down. We've got lots and lots of aged care with single cases. We've got hospitals with 8, 11, 11, 2. We've got more hospitals. We've got primary schools and abattoirs. And then a whole bunch of sort of other sort of risky workplaces where you can't easily...
Gee, that really highlights the extent of it, doesn't it?
It is a really long list of clusters that Victoria is dealing with at the moment. And each one of these, because these ones tend to be the sort of environments where, you know, these stay-at-home orders don't work. Schools, well, you know, year 11 and 12 students are going to school. We've got abattoirs. You know, it's hard to socially distance and you can't do your job from home if you work in an abattoir. Similarly with distribution centres and with, you know, aged care and hospitals, of course, you know, they're very different situations to a regular office. These aren't the sorts of environments where the stay-at-home orders on their own are going to extinguish these clusters. Each of those now needs to be managed and that could become a real headache.
Yeah, and Casey, I wonder if you can just go back to the Victorian graph for us, just to show us how quickly things can get out of control. Like, how recently was it that the cases were close to zero? Was it like 3 weeks ago? Or
that's June 21, 19 cases on June 21,
so
up to 273. So that's, what, 3 weeks ago we're talking about. You know, that is how rapidly things can, you know, get out of control. Look at this part of the curve in Victoria and then compare that to New South Wales. Well, the numbers don't look all that different, you know, at the moment. And so if this Casula outbreak isn't able to be brought under control, we may well see Victoria repeated here. And this is in some ways a tricky as we've just discussed, a tricky outbreak to bring under control. But it is also a test
Yeah.
of the suppression strategy.
Okay, we'll leave there. Casey Briggs.